Hi, everyone. Welcome to Breaking the Silence, a podcast produced by Angels Protection, Inc., where we uplift the voices of young mothers of color and the advocates, healers, creators, and leaders shaping the systems that impact their lives. I'm your host, Makaila Davis, founder and chairwoman of Angels Protection, Inc. And in our Women's Leaders series, we highlight powerhouse women whose lived experience, servant leadership, and strategic brilliance, opening doors, shifting culture, and transforming communities. These are women who are not only building solutions, but they're building futures. Today's featured guest is a woman whose leadership spans corporate learning, entrepreneurship, global travel, and deep community impact. So today I have a dynamic leader, Janine Dawson, and she's a learning strategist, a business leader, a travel industry entrepreneur with more than 2 decades of experience transforming how organizations develop people and elevate performance. After an award-winning corporate career leading national learning, sales enablement, and product launch strategies across pharmaceutical and telecom sectors, she launched Well Traveled with Janine in 2023, a boutique travel advisory firm that already surpassed 500K in revenue. That is amazing. Okay. And she also earned pro level status for 2 consecutive years with FORA Travel, holds Royal Caribbean Master Level certification, and is a proud member of the Cruise Lines International Association. Her leadership extends far beyond corporate walls. Janine is a 30-year life and charter member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Phi Beta Omega Chapter, where she currently serves as first vice president and program chairman, overseeing 18 committee chairmen and leads, and driving community service initiatives across 5 strategic program areas in Montgomery County, PA. She is the immediate second vice president and membership chairman, where she leads transformative technology modernization, strengthen operations, and reimagine recruiting, retention, reclamation, and mentoring strategies. She also serves on the board of the Rose Foundation, supporting women and girls through community investment and education. Her leadership has been recognized with the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Phi Beta Omega Chapter 2021 Soror of the Year Award and the 2025 Distinguished Innovator Award from the National Pan-Hellenic Council of Southeastern Pennsylvania chapter, where she's shaping enterprise learning strategies and also curating luxury travel experiences. She leads with clarity, innovation, and a commitment to empowering others. And she also brings that same brilliance to every conversation. So I just kind of want to hand it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being a part of this. It's such a blessing. So I kind of want to just like start and going into just welcoming you to the podcast, and then also to begin, what inspired your passion for learning strategy and also professional development work?
So my parents were public school educators. They started as teachers and they moved up the ranks as school administrators. And my sister actually also followed in their footsteps, and now she's an assistant superintendent in a public school system. And so education was always say, kitchen table talk in our family. It was expected that we aspired higher in education and that we would be lifelong learners, which I feel I am. But when I was thinking about my career, in college and beyond, I was more interested in like mass media arts and journalism and telling the story and things of that nature, not necessarily teaching in a classroom. However, my career journey, landed me when I was about 25 in the pharmaceutical sales industry as a sales representative. And I found that while I was working as a salesperson, I love the time when product launches came because it meant that education was coming. And I felt that I performed best as a salesperson when I had a lot of knowledge. My confidence was the highest then. So I oftentimes raised my hands to support our district team with uh, product knowledge types of training and devising fun ways for us to retain that information before it was time to go to product launch. I had a mentor who suggested I become a sales trainer. Didn't want to go into that field at all, didn't think I knew enough, and decided to apply for it, got that job, and it really opened up my eyes to the world of adult education. And so I was able to work in education, but in a professional corporate setting. It was like a perfect blend because at the time wanted to work in corporate. And I was able to partner with marketing teams and other training vendor companies that came in to help put the curriculum together and consult and add my creative spin to it, work with stakeholders, business stakeholders. So like it was perfect for me. Like and I still was able to be in the classroom with the new hire sales representatives as well. So like I thought I had found it. Like that was that was a perfect fit for me. And that's how I ventured into it. It wasn't something I thought about, but ultimately, I think my mentor saw something in me that uh, my skill sets would be a compliment.
Now, I think, and that's the blessing too, having that mentor
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
believed in you and wanted to see you thrive into that next season of your life. Um, so that kind of like goes into like my next question. So your corporate career, it spans pharmaceutical learning, telecom innovation, and sales enablement and
Mhm.
enterprise training. So how did those experiences shape the leader that you are today?
Well, in those types of roles, you are oftentimes an individual contributor having to influence up with leaders that have much higher ranks than you. And you have to be able to convince them that you are an authority in learning strategy and design and development. And so I honestly believe my time in sales, my 7 years in sales, and subsequently another seven in, or three, I'm sorry, three as a district sales manager allowed me to demonstrate my leadership in those types of situations when I was running big, large scale projects across the enterprise particularly for the telecom company I worked for, um, because I learned how to present and to be prepared, because you can't ever go into a doctor's office not having a sales call plan and knowing what you were going to say because you only had a few, sometimes seconds, to be able to make impact enough and hook the doctor enough to be able to provide your pitch. So I learned a lot from being a salesperson in terms of thinking on my feet, putting nice presentations together, having a plan before I even put that presentation together, and understanding my content so that when I was in front of executive stakeholders who were responsible for huge teams, because the telecom company I worked for had over 100,000 employees, and oftentimes we were affecting 50,000 of them or 70,000 of them, that I had a plan and that I had practiced that plan. And I came in being able to explain why the learning design plan was organized the way it was, and what we were going to do in terms of our development timelines and our implementation timelines to deliver it on time and deliver it in a way that was aligned to their business objectives and goals.
No, that's amazing. So, like, what I'm hearing a lot is making sure that you have a plan put in place beforehand before you're going in and learning your content. So you don't really even have to like look at your slides or look at the material.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of frameworks. I believe that if you have an overarching sketch of all aspects of the situation at hand, and you have just another next step for each of those areas, that it will allow you to keep going and keep walking. Because oftentimes you can get stuck if you don't have a plan. You freeze because you don't have everything in place that you need in order to move forward. I'm a huge fan of foundations. They're very critical. Nothing in life, I think, sustains without a strong foundation. Nothing. And if you don't pay attention to it, then even all the dreams and hopes that you had for what you're trying to do will likely disintegrate.
No, definitely. And I think that kind of like goes into my next question. So, what motivated you to transition from corporate leadership into launching a travel business? And how did you scale to 500,000 in sales so quickly?
Well, I mean, like many, I was subject to layoffs in 2022 and took the year to, I would say, dethaw, honestly, to dethaw from that corporate life and all that I was experiencing to figure out what I wanted to do. And I went to the traditional route of applying and redoing my resume and developing my stories, all the things that you learn to do from mentors and LinkedIn and all of that. But as I was doing that, I also was writing, I had written down on a post-it note before, like, what would I really want to do? And I remember writing I want to I want to get paid for my hobbies, and I want people to know my name. And I wrote all the ways that that could be podcast and, media appearances and workshops and all of that kind of stuff. And then I started thinking about what are the things that I really like to do, and there were very three distinct things. It was like real estate, fitness, and travel. And the most recent that I had been doing most often was travel with my husband. That was kind of our pastime. We had been doing it for 10 years. We went across the world to many places. And I originally didn't think that I could make it into something. But I had been posting on Instagram and Facebook about my travels while I was on vacation, and people were like, "Oh, they feel like I'm there with you, and I really like your stories, and you tell me so much stuff." And I was leaning into education actually. By in my post, I was telling them about things about what I was seeing in Egypt and this, that, and the fourth. And I finally decided I was listening to a Fora, the host agency I'm with. They would do these really fun, like information sessions on destinations. And then they would say, "Hey, would you like to be a travel advisor?" And I thought, maybe I could do that. What do I have to lose? Right. And I was looking for a home-based type of business for sure. And this fit the bill. And I thought it was a natural progression and fit. And so I jumped in and I did what I always do. I started with getting a foundation educationally. I started showing up on almost all of their live webinars. So they had a rolling schedule every week of various types of topics. And I'm a sponge that way. And so I started watching them all and listening and taking notes and asking questions. I would take advantage of the live sessions where travel advisors could ask experienced advisors about what to do in sticky situations or t situations they didn't know how to handle. And I just dived in. I felt I had nothing to lose. Being in the sorority was how I think I scaled quickly because there's 350,000 members of Alpha Kappa Alpha across the world. And because I'm in a chapter here, I'm very active because of being an officer. Um, I think that a lot of the members in my own chapter were already privy to the type of work and maybe the quality of work that I was producing. And so they trusted me and they started calling. My very first client was she's like a big sister to me. She's like a mentor to me. And she trusted me to plan her 60th birthday party in the Bahamas and with like 8 women. And I will always be indebted to her for that. But she, told me she trusted me and she was like, "I want you to do it." And so women helping other women really fueled my confidence with it, and I really did delve into it. I focused in on all kinds of operation, every aspect of the business. I treated it like a business from day one. It wasn't a hobby. It wasn't just something I like to do. And I was always thinking about creating an LLC and the website and a newsletter one day, and um, looking at technology and automation to help me because as a person of one in a business, you can't do it all. And now I'm in like the first month or two of my third year, and now I have all those things. And I have an assistant. And now I'm looking into creating promotional group trips for the first time. That's kind of my next foray in 2026, trying to do more groups. And so to see where it was and see where it is now, um, has been it's beyond fulfilling. And I feel so empowered and just so good. And every day I'm happy and I'm excited about going on my laptop and seeing whatever is in my inbox. Whether it's an inquiry form from a client that I didn't even know was going to call me, or a vendor is communicating with me, or they're telling me that they got that tour that I wanted and I'm hoping I wanted, or something. Like it's just so fulfilling. I can't tell you. And I feel like I finally am doing something in my third act of my career that I enjoy. And so I go back to that post-it note and think, wow, like that manifestation, it works.
No, it does. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, being able to make it go in the way that you want it to go. Um,
Absolutely.
Seeing it grow from, okay, I'm going to file this LLC. That was the first step. And then just seeing it like now transform into something so beautiful. Now you have an assistant, like, coming up with like bigger strategic plans.
Hmm.
And then also having, like, as you said, like your sisterhood that wanted to pour into you and they
Yeah,
trusted you so much from the beginning. And that's love right there. So just seeing it grow and flourish and to keep you to want to go in because it's hard with entrepreneurship. It's not easy. Because when you file that piece of paper, it's just a piece of paper.
exactly. Exactly.
And most
And you
people
have
don't
to do something
do
with
anything
it.
with it.
I think in entrepreneurship, I think when you work in corporate America in particular, you get kind of spoiled
Mhm.
because there's so many departments. Every department has a responsibility. They do things for you. And in entrepreneurship, that doesn't happen. You do everything. If it doesn't get done, it's because you didn't do it yet, right? And you're like, who's going to do that? You're like, oh, I have to do that. Oh, me.
Oh, I'm the
Um,
department for fiscal and
right.
HR and yeah.
And that may cost money and that may cost time. And maybe you're already feeling as if you put in a lot of time in this. And you're like, I don't have any more energy to give, but you just keep going because it's really like, it really is like your baby. It really is. And when you start seeing it go from not even crawling to stumbling on their feet, and now it's starting to walk a little bit, and it's it's like I said, I say it all the time. If I never made another dime, which I want to, but if I never did in this business, I would walk away today feeling really proud that I took the last 2 years to do all of that. And when someone asks, do you have a website? Do you have terms and conditions? Do you have a newsletter? When they make suggestions around things like that, I'm like, I already have it. I already have it. I already have it. I did that. I did that. And I didn't even know I was capable of it. And I think that's but when I think about all of the roles I've had, the different responsibilities and main tasks and responsibilities in each of those roles, all of it was leading me to letting go of corporate America and finding the thing that I could do to stand up a business and use all of that. And I use all of it. All of it. Inventory management, version control, itinerary design, budgeting, operations, portal management, project management. Like when I think of all the things on my resume, all of them are part of this business. And I've been interviewed before for jobs and they're like, how did you go from this to this? And doesn't it make like sense? And I'm like, doesn't have to. All of the, so instead of me making like trying to find an answer for it, now I'm like, it doesn't have to. All of those things that I learned I now can put into my own thing. And it could have been plumbing. It doesn't matter. I bet you I still would have been able to use it. So I think that's the lesson I would give other people is that don't think that the things you're doing won't help you somewhere else because they do. It always does.
It does. And I think that's like, again, the beauty of entrepreneurship is that like you need every skill set to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And then like as you talked about like with the vendors, having like these different folks a part of what you're doing, you need those team members to make it
Right.
happen. Um,
Right.
Whether that's like your CPA because you need your taxes filed for the business. And that's different if you're filing like personal taxes. Like there's just so many different moving parts.
Hmm.
And like the terms and conditions, most people don't think about that. Like there's a lot of documentation that you need to be able to have to cover yourself and then also cover the agency as well, because the agency
Absolutely.
is you. You are that brand.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. That was probably one of the hardest things to do because it's not the most exciting thing to do, but you have to have it in order for when things, if something happens, then you have some guidance around how the process is going to work to fix it or address it.
Documentation is key.
Yes,
Very
definitely.
Um, so also too, like you've transformed learning systems at national levels. So what does a truly effective learning strategy look like?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a professional who understands the business or business unit that they are assigned to. Usually in corporate learning, it's broken up in functions. At my last company, we called it a university, and we had like different colleges, and so you needed to be grounded in that business unit, right? And I think that's the most important. It's looking at that business unit and saying, okay, first of all, what do they do? How do they do it? Um, how are they generating revenue? What are the products they sell? All it's going back to basics just like that. And you do that not only through your research on the web, but also through having regular meetings and touch points with business stakeholders, whether they're one-on-ones or you go to their planning meetings, so that you are the seat at the table for the corporate universe from the corporate university, and everybody that's there understands that there's a person that's responsible for the training and learning of their employees. And you take notes and you ask questions and you weigh in when it's appropriate. But that's the most important thing. I think in addition to that, you also need to be keeping abreast of your own industry's trends, what's going on in learning and development, what's happening out there in terms of the techniques that are being used to teach people, through games, confirmations of learning, the way modules are being designed, right? Things like that. Practice types of scenarios are my favorite, role playing, things like that. And also the way that um, like what vendors are out there as well to be able to really pull through what you're trying to understand. Technology is critical too, because a lot of learning in corporate America is facilitated through portal management, big portal management systems that can administer training without people having to leave their desk, and go sit in a room anymore, because virtual learning is huge and this asynchronous learning. So keeping up on the trends is important so that when a learning need arises, then basically you just take your knowledge of what's happening and you take the trends and you say, okay, here's my diagnosis after doing my assessment work. And these are the things that I think need to happen in the curriculum and program for people to be able to achieve X goal. And you always want to tie it to the business goals. You want to make sure you do that. And wrapped all around all of that, again, is that framework of listing out, what do you know? What don't you know? What do you need to know? Who needs to tell you, and how are you going to keep everybody apprised of this whole process from start to finish when it's time for you to design, develop, implement, which is critical, and get your learners aware and prepared and ready to do what they're being asked to do. And then it's the evaluation. That's important as well. Like, did we even meet the mark, hit the mark, miss the mark? And what can we do differently next time to be able to reap the benefits of what we just invested in? Because all of this costs money and time. And leaders are always concerned about money and time.
What I'm hearing a lot too is like also like being a lifelong learner
Yeah, definitely.
in your field and like you said, like leaders, money, and time. It's those two are really critical.
Hmm.
Um, so no, that's really key. And then also too, I think like many organizations, they struggle with engagement.
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest mistakes that companies make in developing their people?
I honestly think that it's executives that don't understand what their employees do on a day-to-day basis. And particularly I'm talking about middle level managers and frontline employees, those that are front facing to customers, whether they're in a store or they're on the phone, like a customer care person, salesperson, technician, whatever, regardless of industry. I think it's executives who just have lost touch with what their employees do. And if they spent more time doing field visits in some capacity, where they visit a store, they visit, they get on the phone with customers and they really hear what customers are asking and what those pain points are, I think that there would be I think there would be more success, and I think there would be more engaged employees because they would feel like the leaders are truly understanding what they deal with. That's what I think. And everything else would be aligned to support employees better. They would have maybe better learning portals that aren't clunky and hard to use. They would have better marketing materials that get straight to the point and are able to illustrate in a creative way, in a visual way about the products, right? They would have processes and systems that would allow them to process an order without it being 10 steps when it needs to be two. Um, it's all of those things. And I think oftentimes people at higher levels and that aren't touching the customers, figuratively touching the customers, they're so busy trying to just meet their own business objectives and goals, and they think, okay, we'll put money towards this system or we'll put money towards that process and we're going to go with that, when in essence that's probably not what it is. um, and the other thing I think is that managers, mid-level managers, they're extremely critical in the learning process. They can't be ignored. They have to be the conduits to ensuring that their employees are grasping the information and that they understand how to do something differently now as a result, and keep reinforcing that good behavior or addressing the not good behavior. So a lot of times they aren't always a part of the learning program, or they'll get like a snippet of it high level because a lot of the leaders will say, well, they don't have to do the job. They oversee the job. And I get that. However, if you really think about it, with most companies, mid-level management is responsible for holding it up, holding the company up. They have to be the ones to get their employees to work and to be engaged and to do the right thing. So if they aren't constantly being poured into in terms of their leadership skill sets and their knowledge about things, then who else? Who else? So I think that's a reason why engagement can be low, is because employees don't feel understood. And they're most concerned about today. What do I have to do today? And once again, I'm dealing with a system that is broken, and I have to use my workarounds to get through that. And that takes out time for me to make money on the next customer that calls. Like that's what people are thinking about. And if more up higher level leaders understood that, then I think they would see exponential engagement. Like it wouldn't even be hard. It wouldn't even be hard. They just want to be heard. That's it.
And I think that's really important, making sure like the leaders are heard, and then not overlooking, like you said, like those mid-level managers, and including them in that process. Um, so also too, and we kind of touched on it before, but like, what skills from your corporate background helped you to thrive as an entrepreneur?
So many, but I think the ones that come to mind the most are organization, strategic planning, sales, customer relationships, or client relationships, client management, budgeting, um, and communication. I think those are, I think that's six. I think those are the ones that really come to mind that I find I need to draw on the most and that have helped me to segue into this line of work without it being really that painful or that difficult. It was more so me needing to understand the travel industry and what an advisor does and I would say the boundaries of the travel advisor, what they can do legally, not solely, right? Not what they could do, what they can't do. But all the other skills were there.
No, definitely. And those are like all really critical skills, things that you just kind of have to like learn over time, especially when you're budgeting with your business, because if you get a grant or some type of like donation or funding, you have to be able to report on that. Where was it allocated to, and making sure that you're having enough funds to do the project that you're trying to implement.
Yes, definitely.
Um, so no, that was like really amazing. And then also to tie into, you've served in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for 30 years. So what
Yes.
has sisterhood taught you about your leadership?
Oh, to have grace, just to have grace, be empathetic, um, to always lend a hand and to lean. So that it's okay to lean sometimes when your load is heavy, there's other women that can, help stand it up and build it up. It's and that it's okay. So I would say just being vulnerable, which turns into power sometimes, making you feel powerful after you've released what it is that you're carrying. So being in an environment like that for 30 years straight, consecutively active. I mean, I've benefited so much from being in the organization. And I think the confidence that they've instilled in me too, watching me over the years and saying, Janine, you can do that. You can. And we're here. That net, it's like an invisible net that you have when if something happens, they're there to kind of catch you, and it's a soft land, and it just feels really good, and it allows, I think, it allows you to unleash your potential even more.
No, that is beautiful. And like I like how you said like that invisible net. That's
Hmm.
that support. Um, and that it's nothing like that. That's beautiful. And then also as like first vice president and program chairman, you direct 18 committee chairmen and leads across 5 program initiatives.
Yes.
Um, so all that to say, like, what does strategic service look like at that scale? Because that's huge.
So you have to really think um, smartly when you have 5 initiatives, and in every initiative you have 4 sub areas, and a certain amount of people that have to lead all of that in the course of a year. So in my case, right now, we're implementing zoning so that members can have an opportunity to serve across Montgomery County closer to where they live, instead of always having to maybe visit certain parts of the county because of where our relationships lie. So I'm right now working on community power and partnership sessions so that I can meet community leaders in West Montgomery County and have them get to know us and we get to know them so that I can understand what the needs are here in this part of the county versus the central part of the county versus the east part of the county, right? So that we can pinpoint our programs even more strategically and smartly, and that we can also allocate our members to in a way that allows them to stay engaged and to still have a life, a full life that they, outside of being in the sorority, because everybody wants to help and support. But of course, we have many things to juggle. We're busy women, we're all professional, we're mothers, we're mothers, wives, good friends, aunties, what have you, sisters. And so you want this to be a compliment, not something that takes over. And so what you do is you try to figure out ways to help it make it easier for members to do things because service is what we do. It's the heart of what we do. And that's why many women want to become members of this illustrious organization. And my job is to try to figure out how do I do that? How can I help do that? And utilize our talents and of our membership to divide and conquer while still offering quality programs across the footprint that can benefit all mankind.
No, I love that. And especially how you guys are expanding with the zoning, and considering members that are in different areas. That's going to make a major impact in the community. Um, so also
Yeah, I'm
too,
excited about that.
no, that's beautiful. Um, and you also sit on the Rose Foundation board. So why is
Mhm.
investing in women and girls so essential to your mission?
Um, because I see me in it. I was once a girl and now a woman and young woman, now full-fledged woman, and I I enjoy the fact that we can help that population succeed in the county that I grew up in, and in a chapter that I chartered, and in a foundation that was started by my mother, who had a vision to stand up a foundation such as this, and did that in 20 years ago, and to see it flourish and to see what it's doing now. So many scholarships have been granted. I have a scholarship with my sister through the foundation for HBCU um, uh, students, but ones that want to go to HBCUs because I went to Hampton and that was really important to me. And we were able to design it as such that the scholarship provides money to students that are seeking admission into certain HBCUs. They're all the HBCUs that my family graduated from. And so to see where the foundation has gone and what we've been able to do, and again, we're now known in the community. I can't help but to be a part of it and to just, continue the legacy. Because everything I think for me is that it's about the legacy.
No, I love that. And keeping the legacy going, is really critical, important, and offering those scholarships, to young students that are coming into HBCUs is a blessing and well needed.
Hmm.
Um, so like also too, like as you move forward in corporate, entrepreneurial, and community worlds with ease, what advice do you have for women trying to build a multidimensional career?
To stay open. Stay open. Say yes. Don't do what I did in terms of not when I was younger, I planned everything out and I had a lot of things in my mind around how I thought it should go. And um, my mind was very instrumental in what I did. And sometimes you certainly need to use it, but you also sometimes need to just let go and let go and let God. Let him lead you to where it is that he wants you to go. I feel like I'm where he needs me to be, and likely I could have been there a long time ago if I would have let it. And so I think it's just being open-minded. It's understanding that you need to embrace pivoting and that sometimes you are doing something, a career or a certain thing that's taking up a lot of your time and you love it and you're doing it all the time and it's all good, but that now it's time to do something else. Or you may not be willing to let go and but God's saying, no, like close this door because I've got so much more over here. And so you just have to have a lot of faith and understand that everything, everything that's for you will be yours. It will, but in time. And you can't have it all at the same time. But that you can have a life that was is very full, is very full. And if you're willing to embrace that, that you'll look back and smile at and marvel at, in some cases, all the evolutions of it, because there are in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. I'm waiting to see what's happening in my 60s. Um, but the growth and development that I've experienced is leaps and bounds from when I was going into college at 17 years old. And I don't think I would trade it. I might do some things a little bit differently, but I think now I understand why I went through what I went through, and I have a lot more grace for myself as well. And that's the greatest gift of all that I think anybody, and in particular women, should learn to give themselves as a gift.
No, definitely having grace within the process. And like you said, enjoying it and
Hmm.
being
And
open.
yeah, enjoy it because it goes so utterly fast.
No, definitely. And being flexible too. Like you
Absolutely.
said, being open, trying new things. And if something doesn't work out, it's okay. And I think like you were and talking earlier too, like, pivoting when you need
Yes.
to. Um, so then also too, how do you stay grounded while leading at such high level across multiple sectors?
Well, I'm fortunate. I have a really strong network, and I always have. I think my family's close. Then I had, good friends in high school and college. Then I joined sorority, and it I mean, it expanded exponentially. Um, I've had different friends at work. So I feel very anchored and very like insulated. Um, and I have certain people that know how to say certain things to me in a way that gets me to see it differently or to let it go or to bring it down or whatever, or bring it up or bring it up. I just have different people who I know I can call that can help me get to where I need to be. I have friends that make me laugh. They just make me laugh and they'll take my mind off of it for a little while. Because I'm probably more of a serious person than I am silly, and so sometimes, and I can be hard on myself. I was like that in the past. So I need, that counter to be able to see life through different lenses and understand that it's okay to operate that way sometimes.
No, definitely. And it's great to have that network. I think that's
Hmm.
really important. And I don't think most people realize how important a network is as you're navigating life, family,
Absolutely.
and building that up, what your community looks like uniquely. And then also,
Hmm.
too, what is the legacy you hope to leave for the next generation of women?
Hmm. I think that they have lots of choices and options. That in my generation, I'm a Generation Xer, and we were right after the baby boomers, and so our parents are baby boomers who believe that you do things in a certain way and order, and you're more, I would say, cautious and conservative around how you set things up when you're young so that later it can be greater, right? And those philosophies and tenets and all of that are true. I mean, I would not take that away. What I would say is that I think now more than ever, because I have two nieces that are 21 and 16, so I try to see things through their eyes too sometimes, and they have different thought processes than me, but they have options and they're more than capable of doing all that they want to do in most cases on their own, if they want to. But if they don't, that's okay too. And if and and there's not a need to make excuses about it or come up with reasons to justify what it is that you want to do, as long as it's benefiting you and it's not hurting others. And I think that that's what I would want young women to understand, that you have agency and free reign over many things, and how you show up in life, how you treat people, what you do for a living, who you love, all of those things that even just 30 years ago or 40 years ago weren't accepted. And so see that as a gift and take it, but also make sure that your values are intact and that you're not compromising them for something that is short-lived or short-gained. So I think it's a blend of the two. Um, but those are the things that I would say. And to just always, have faith. Like, it will be okay. It will. Most of life is, as Michelle Obama says, most of life is just kind of mundane, and it's and it's a lot, and it's oftentimes very gray. And so you have to just understand that life is not always going to be what you see on social media all the time. It's not always going to be where you're in Bali and, and on a beautiful swing and a beautiful dress. Like, most of your life is going to have a lot of like mundane, muckety muck times, but there's also a comfort and peace in that you've gotten your life to a point where you can have days like that and you're not stressed out all the time. So I think for young women, I would say those things and just enjoy your life. Have a good time because it goes fast.
It does. And like you said, like having options, um, there's many options,
Hmm.
whichever way you want to go, and then also having faith in that, that it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
It's so
Yep.
important. Um, then also too, if you could redesign how organizations invest in talent and leadership,
Hmm.
what core values would you prioritize?
Skills. I mean, I think I think more now more than ever, matching skills to job fit for people is critical. I mean, there's a lot of people working right now that are not necessarily happy, and they're doing it because they have to, because they need to put food on the table and they have bills to pay and so on and so forth. But I think there's probably a lot of disengaged workers out here. And I think in terms of talent, it's listening to what talented people that are being interviewed really want to do and letting them. It's not putting these barriers there, or obstacles where it's so hard for them to move up or move along in the organization, especially young people. I mean, they don't want to stay for 15 years. So if you can get 3 good years out of them where they're unleashing their potential and they're contributing, then let them, and understand that they might go. Um, but that for the 3 years, you were able to ramp up something or get something going or finish or close something out, right? End a chapter in terms of the way you were doing business because they were there and they came in with that innovation and saw it differently and said, no, like, you shouldn't do it that way. And here's what I think. So I think it's more rewarding of that and not being intimidated by that and not hoarding your talent and just letting them go. And sometimes they might come back to you. I don't know, but I think that old antiquated way of thinking and operating with leaders is not working really that same way. And with AI out here being able to do certain things that in some cases employees can do, companies are going to have to think about now, what do I have my employees do? Right? If AI AI has a fit and it has a place, but so do employees. And I don't ever think that employees will be not useful in the workplace personally, but time will tell. But I think it's just a matter of companies having to think differently and not resting on laurels. Because this workforce is different. The kids coming out of, sorry, the young adults coming out of college, they're very different than what my generation was like. And so you've got to go with that.
No, and I think like you said too, investing in them. So if you can get a good, like you said, 3 years out of them and working with them in a great capacity, and being open, and then it might take like, 2 years, they might reapply for another position that you have,
Right.
and then they'll
Exactly.
bring back. And that investment, you didn't lose that investment because now they're back and then they're staying for a good maybe 10, 15 years or till retirement.
Right.
And so you just never know how life may sway you. But I think it is harder now too. Folks are not staying in careers for throughout till retirement.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so it's just like
Ex-
really investing in them in that time while you have them. Um,
Exactly.
if you do it well, they will come back.
I agree. It's like a boomerang, and it's true.
Um, so also too, what message do you want young women, especially those navigating hardship or self-doubt, to take from your story?
That your career is not over until you say it is. That's what I want them to learn. That setbacks happen, they can be tough, and they don't feel so good when you're going through it. But if you're a resilient person, if you have faith, if you have any innovation in your body, um, that you can reinvent yourself many times and you can find a way to live and to operate and to make your contributions in the world. And so I've had, I'm going to say, three distinct careers at this point in time. I like this one the most, and it's my goal to make it last forever. As long as I'm able to do it, I want to keep doing it. But it took a lot of believing and honestly just also doing. Just finally saying, I'm just gonna file for that LLC. I'm just gonna name the business this, right? I'm gonna take that first client and do everything I can to make sure that she has an amazing vacation. And I'm gonna service the client to the nth degree. Like that's what you have to tell yourself every day. And and then once you start having the successes, or I mean, in my case, getting the client testimonials was everything. Getting that first client testimonial, and I think there were eight of them, seven or eight on the trip, that first group trip I mentioned, and they all liked it. They all were like, "You did a great job," and that was so affirming for me. And that's all I needed to do it again and do it again and do it again. So I think that's what it is. You just have to put one foot in front of the other. I mean, I'm a runner. I'm an exerciser, and ran my first marathon 2 years ago. I didn't think I would ever do that, but I put one foot in front of the other. And the next thing I knew, I put a whole lot. I did that many times, and I went across the finish line on a marathon. I would have never thought I would have done it, but you can do it. You really can. And I have to give credit to like many women before me who did it before me, and they were like, Janine, come on, like, come on, it's your turn. You can do this. And here I am. And now I'm saying that to other people. Go figure. Look at that. Look at that. Um, so that's what I would tell young girls, young women.
No, I love that. And it's that you can keep going and don't
Hmm.
stop.
You
Um,
have to.
have
You
to.
have to. It's not even, it's can and you have to because nobody's going to do it for you. So, and if you want to, if you still want to feel good about yourself, that's, you have to contribute in some way, shape, or form.
Definitely.
And you just have to figure out what that is.
And finding your passion. And
That too.
staying open, trying new things,
Hmm.
taking classes, looking on LinkedIn. I'm always scrolling on LinkedIn. 24,
Same,
I'm always on
same.
LinkedIn
I
and,
agree.
seeing what others are doing. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing the work that they're doing in the community.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be something I'm interested in getting involved in. Oh, wow, they just started maybe a environmental health initiative project. That's interesting. I like to garden. How can I get
Hmm.
involved in doing something and you just never know what that will turn and flourish into.
I
Um,
agree. And I think ideas spark something. I think for me, ideas create an energy for me, and I get excited about it. And, I, I'm like, okay, well, how can we do that? And who do I call? And I don't know. I've always been that way. I think I was like that as a kid. I was a journalism major in college. So I liked like talking to people and getting the story, and the scoop and finding out like how did this happen and how that happened. But I think that keeps you going. It just you have to have something that keeps you going and in life. And this has brought me a lot of joy. Like finding something I really like to do was the thing that helped me to get here. And I like it, so I want to stay here. And now I'm like, what other things can I pull out of the travel Pandora box? Like, what other type of niche can I get into? Because there's so much in travel. Like, there's so many niches in travel. It's unbelievable. But it's exciting because I know that now I probably can have a career for another 20 years if I want to, because it's like endless. And that's for me motivating.
no, and I think, and that's the beauty within that you created it. And that's
That
the beauty.
too.
That's what
Yeah,
makes
it's
it so.
mine.
Yeah.
Finally, right? It's mine. And that there's an empowerment in that. There really is. And so I want to see it through. I mean, it's been just 2 years. Like I said, I'm on the very beginning of my third year. I feel good about what 2026 is going to bring. And I know I'm very aware that businesses take time to grow. So like I mentioned earlier in the conversation about that foundation, I'm very big on that. I really am. And I've operated like that in when I was in corporate too. I was very adamant about making sure that that base was strong so that if I needed to change the curtains or the drapes or and I don't like this paint anymore, that the bones of it are fine. And so I spent time doing that grunt work, but I also kept myself booking, right? Booking travel because that's how I was going to learn how to do this. But I needed more infrastructure to make sure that it felt smooth to the client and it looked professional, right? And all of those types of things. That was important to me too. And so I'm looking forward to seeing like what else am I going to dabble into in 2026. I have ideas already about getting more clients and like, you know, I have a travel talk webinar tomorrow. I'm doing that. That's a monthly thing I'm doing now. So it's on solo travel, and I'm excited about what I'm going to say, and who's going to show up. But I think that I'm patient enough to know that it's going to grow. And I'm willing to kind of put in that work to to see it where I believe it will go. So I'm in it. I'm in. My chips are in.
And that's the beauty of it. Just seeing it flourish. Uh,
Hmm.
And like we talked about before, like this, there, it's on you when you're an entrepreneur. Um,
Definitely.
you are the one that are making sure that your company uh, looks the way that it should. So now, like also too, how can listeners stay connected with your travel business, leadership work, or upcoming projects?
So, in a couple ways, I have a website, Well Traveled with Janine. It's WTWJANINE.com. I also have a monthly newsletter called The Travel Edit, and that's actually going out today. So, it's something I stood up a couple months ago, and it focuses on a certain topic each month that correlates to my monthly Travel Talk Tuesday webinar that is happening November 25th. So the travel edit this month is on solo travel, and I will be speaking about how to plan solo travel tomorrow on the Travel Talk Tuesdays. I do it on Zoom. And the other way is on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Well Traveled with Janine. I also have a Janine's Journeys and Journals, which was the first Instagram page that I started when I was just posting about travel. And that kind of gave me my inspiration to start the business. So those are some ways to stay in touch with me. And also, of course, just through my email, or you can call me, which is on my website. So you can certainly look for the contact information there.
No, definitely. So again, folks, make sure that you stay connected to her through all those different means of communication. Um, and also now I just want to say thank you so much for your decades of leadership, your commitment to service, and your ongoing mission to empower women through learning, travel, and community. Your story, it reminds us that reinnovation is powerful. Leadership is service, and purpose can evolve across multiple seasons. So to our listeners, if today's conversation it inspired you, visit angelsprotection.org to explore our programs from mental health outreach to community-centered initiatives for young women aged 13 to 20. And always remember, silence protects systems, not people. So let's keep breaking it together. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.